We are live right now, live for Village right now. Whew. Ah, how's everybody doing today? It is Tuesday, the 20th of August, 2024. Whew. I am back from Amsterdam. I went to Amsterdam on Saturday afternoon. Got back Monday afternoon. Monday evening, really. I guess I landed Monday afternoon. Got home in the evening or early evening. But anyway, was there for just a short while, it's a short trip, a short little thing. But it was a good trip. I enjoyed it. I like Amsterdam. I would like to go back to Amsterdam, but hopefully, if I get to go back, I'd have a bit more disposable cash. I had to go on a bit of a tight thing still, I had to go on a bit of a tight thing because I booked this trip months ago. I actually booked this trip back in January. I booked it and paid for it in January. Yo, what up, Isaline? Isaline, how you been? How are you? It's been a while. Yeah, yeah, it's been a little minute. It's been a little minute. How you been, Isaline? How's your day going? How's your day been? Appreciate you joining this live stream. As Okay, let me see if I got this right. Hi, Royden Hardudet. I think I posted that wrong. Hi, Royden Hardudet. Yes, awesome. Yeah, Google Translate. Google Translate for those times where you want to know something real quick. I've been super sick. Oh, it's a damn shame. Sorry. Well, I've recovered. Oh, he's even better. So you got sick. That sucks, but you recovered. That's awesome. Works well. I use it too. You know the thing about I find with Google Translate is I think for the most part it translates fine. Like it's going to tell you what something says, and the translations are going to be fine, right? For the most part, like I feel like you're not going to have too many issues with it, especially with European languages. You'll probably be fine with the translations it gives. But yeah, every now and then I'm looking at it like, hmm. Every now and then I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm not sure you've got this one. I'm not sure. Peaceful Me. Well, that's a good name, isn't it? How you doing, Peaceful Me? Peaceful Me. Are you the peaceful me? If there's a peaceful me, then there's gotta be a stressed out me as well. So if you're the peaceful me, where's the stressed out me? Hopefully the stressed out me is nowhere around here because we just want peace. We don't want no trouble. We don't want no trouble. We want no trouble. I'm doing all right, peaceful me. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. How you doing? How's your day going? How's your day been? Appreciate you joining this live stream on this Tuesday evening. There usually are so many grammar mistakes, but the most important thing is to understand each other. Yes, indeed, indeed. That's the thing. How I feel about languages and how language evolves. Yo, what up, little Jakes? Little Jakes in the place. Um, because like how people get all in their thing about when it comes to like slang words or how people use who speak in using a lot of slang and things like that, especially when it comes to like the youth and like how young people might speak in their own kind of slangs and things like that, right? And you get a bunch of people say things like, oh, they don't sound intelligent, they sound like they don't know, they sound uneducated. You get people say things like that. But I think the thing that I feel like a lot of those types of people miss is that language by its very nature and purpose is, like you said, to for people to be understood. You know, I say words, and if you understand those words, and then you say some words in response, and I understand what you're saying, then we are communicating, right? That's the purpose of language, is that we could communicate through words. Now, if I say something and you don't understand it, you can say, "Hey, I don't understand it," and I can explain it. If you say something that I don't understand, I can say, "Hey, I don't understand it." You can explain it, and then we understand each other even better. But the thing is that it doesn't matter whether you use, slang words or say informal words or colloquialism or all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter if you're speaking it in a way that the people you're speaking to understand you. you know, that's the purpose. There is no sounding intelligent. Like, in fact, I found like the people who say that sort of stuff, who talk all prim and proper and that kind of thing. I ain't gonna lie, man. Some of them are just dumb. Like they're just okay. Let me not say that. Let me not be too rude. But you know what I mean? Like they might be able to talk in the standard English or whatever, the standard form of of form of the language. But outside of that, like they don't always know a lot of stuff. you know what I mean? Like they don't always. It's like that's all they can do is speak in a formal way of speaking, but that's pretty much it. Like there's not much else there. So like to me, it's like it doesn't matter whether you use slang, don't matter whether you use whatever way you speak. I mean, a stupid person is a stupid person regardless, and a smart person is a smart person regardless. And so if you're kind of going to try and judge somebody on how I feel like that says more about you than it does about them. Because if I'm speaking and you understand me, then language just serves its purpose. If I'm talking to somebody and they're saying all these kind of slang words, but I understand them, language has served its purpose. It doesn't matter that they didn't use if they said in it instead of isn't it. You know what I mean? It does. I understood you. It don't matter if they said I brang it yesterday instead of brought it yesterday. Like I understood you. Like why am I starting to get into all this? Oh, but it's this way and that way. And like if I understood you, language has served its purpose. So anyway, that's my mini rant. that's my mini rant. As long as you're understood, it don't matter what type of words you're using. If I don't understand you, I could ask for a clarification. And that's all that is. But if I understand you, we're all good. So the whole thing about there, and there, and people use there, the wrong forms of there and they are, and that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, but it's like, dude, I understood what you were saying. I read it and I understood it. And at the end of the day, I'm not your English teacher, so why am I bringing it up? if I didn't understand you, it's a problem. If I understand you, it's not a problem. So language always evolves. Like the way we speak now, in fact, what we call standard English now, right, in 2024, what we call standard English in 2024 is nothing like what people would have called standard English back in, 1500s, like sort of Shakespearean times, or going back to like say the 1200s, like Arthurian times, like English back then is practically a completely different language. So language just evolves, anyway. Like that's a thing. Language evolves because culture evolves and the way we understand things evolve and the way we describe things evolve. And sometimes what was considered the wrong thing to say becomes an official part of the language, like ampersand, like the kind of and sign. We have like Holland and Barrett. They use the and sign in the middle. It's called an ampersand. That started out of a mistake. Like it's and per se and was the original phrase, but because people kept pronouncing it wrong, it just became ampersand, and now that's the official way of saying it, ampersand. So to me, it's just like that's how language is. It evolves, it changes based on how it's used. So yeah, it's just all silly to me when people be like, "Oh, that's not the proper way to speak." It's like, dude, come on. Did you understand them? Yes, then shut up. You know what I mean? If you understood them, shut up. If you don't understand them, ask for the explanation. But when you come up with all this, oh, you have to speak this way, you have to speak that way, just shut up. all right. Anyway, that's my mini rant over. That's my mini rant over for now. Yo, what up, people? How's everybody doing? I am back from Amsterdam. I was in Amsterdam for 2 nights. Got back yesterday. Had a great time. I'll show you some pictures in a minute. How's the day? Been all right, man. I was a garden today, actually. I was out in the garden. I was playing out weeds. The garden got overrun. I was trying. I want to tell you, wanted to do it last week, but I didn't get time in the end, so I did it today. Man, I wanted to do it last week because like I knew I was going to Amsterdam. I didn't want to come back from Amsterdam and be like, "Oh, man, I have to do the garden now." So I actually wanted to do it last week, so it's done. But didn't get time to do it last week, so yeah, had to like literally come back from a holiday, and now I've got to de-weed the garden. It's like, but Cat takes a shit on my front porch. I had to clean that up as well. I was like, man, such is life, such is life. But yeah, I was in the garden. I de-weeded the garden, so the garden's clear now. We're clear of weeds. Only problem is that I have a well, I it's not really mine, but yeah, there's a rose bush in the back of the garden, and I couldn't really get the weeds out of that too well because like the rose has thorns on it, and I've got gloves and stuff like that, but my gloves aren't thick enough to deal with rose thorns. So yeah, those a lot of those weeds are still there, but most of it I got out. So yeah. My day been okay. Awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. I was feeling exhausted from work, so I skipped going to the gym. Oh wait, I was hoping you say you skipped going to work. I was reading it like I was hoping he's going to say I skipped going to work. That would have been awesome, but he skipped going to the gym. I don't know. You should go to the gym. I mean, here's the thing about the gym. You don't need a gym. I don't go to the gym. I used to go to a gym, then I stopped because I just kind of felt like I didn't need it. But gyms are useful if you know that's part of your fitness resume, right? They can be useful. But hopefully you're not skipping out on on your health. If you skip going to the gym, I guess that's fine. But yeah, hopefully you're not skipping out and taking care of yourself because that's important. Especially did feel if you're feeling exhausted, got to make sure you take care of yourself. Um, but yeah, I used to go to the gym. I stopped going to the gym because I just felt it was a bit of a waste of money for me because I found that I prefer running outdoors rather than running on the treadmill. Don't get me wrong, running on the treadmill definitely has its advantages because you can put your phone on the thing and watch like an episode of whatever TV show you're watching or a movie or something while you're running. You can't do that when you're running outdoors, right? So it definitely has its advantage, has its pros for running on the treadmill. But overall, I found I just prefer to run outdoors and to run to places rather than staying in one place. So yeah, in the end, I was like, you know what, let me just cancel this gym membership. Spending 20 something pound a month, and yeah. But I do miss running and being able to watch a TV show. I ain't gonna lie, I do miss that. I might need to get my own treadmill one of these days, so I could just like put it in the garage or something and use that way. Because every now and then I can run and watch a TV show because I do miss that. But I don't want to pay £20 a month just to do that. That's a bit much. Or was I paying 20? No, it was 26. I was paying £26. Was £27? It was nearly £30. I think I was paying a month, and most I was just running on the treadmill. I'm like, yeah, it's cool that I can run and watch a TV show, but yeah, this ain't £30 a month. This ain't £30 a month. Each generation has their own slang, indeed, indeed. People don't use well, that's not true. I think people do use slangs from my youth now. There's still some words that get used in modern day slangs like we were using back in the day, like we would say bear as a way of saying a lot of something. Like if I wanted to say like there's a lot of pens or whatever, I'll say there's bare pens there. Like we'll say that back in like in the 90s. People still say that now. People do still say that now, so that's pretty cool. I like that. That's survived. There's a few things that we used to say that survived, like or even things like safe as a way of saying something's okay. Like or chill even like because you might if you wanted someone to be to like chill, it might just come on man, no. Actually, did we say no, that's not how we used it. No, because we used to say safe, but we used to use how did we use it though? I think no, I think I'm misremembering. We used to say safe, right? I remember the word safe, but I think we use that in a few different ways. Like we might use it as a way of saying hello, like you come to me like safe, man, safe. Like a way of saying that, or even like goodbye sometimes, like safe, and you do the fist pound. Um, or if you're just saying something like it's safe, you might be saying it as way it's cool or it's good or it's fine. So yeah, that was one. But I think people do still say that, but I feel like they use it in a different way now. Like, so that word, I think, still gets used now by the youth them. But I think they might use it differently than we did. But yeah, language evolves, man. It's part of it. Okay, I understand. I agree with you, indeed. Even though we study British English in Kuwait. Oh, you're in Kuwait. Oh, okay. Um, Kayfa Halak. Kayfa Halak. Kayfa Halaki. Uh, oof. What's the, I've forgotten now. Oof. I'm my bad. Sorry. I'm sorry. I've forgotten. But I remember K for Halak. I remember that. I've forgotten all the rest of it. أنا بكير شكرًا، شكرًا. Awesome شكرًا. I think but never found it easy to speak English, British with an accent. So I speak American English because I find it easy. That's interesting actually, because I think quite a lot of people who grow up in non-English speaking countries, when they learn English, a lot of them tend to favor the more American accent. I find so. Yeah, that is interesting. That is interesting. British English fancy. Might depends on what shows you're watching, actually. If you're watching something like The Crown, then yeah, sounds a bit fancy. If you're watching Top Boy, then that's how we actually speak. If you can find Top Boy on Netflix, that's how a lot of especially Londoners. If you find Top Boy, a lot of Londoners actually speak like that. Other parts of England as well have that similar kind of slangs, but yeah, definitely Londoners speak a lot like what you see in Top Boy. My second language, so I don't pay attention to the slang abroad. It's too much to stay up there. No, for sure, for sure. I get that. Of course, I get. By the way, there is I understand there is a reason and a need to have, say, a more say standard form of a language, just because, like, as you're traveling around, people from one part of the country, if you're using your local slangs in Birmingham and your local slangs in, Sheffield, you both speak English, but if you're using two different sets of local dialects, you're gonna kind of misunderstand each other a lot. So I get there needs to be a form for a more standard form of English, but that doesn't mean that has to be the only way you speak. Especially when you know who you're talking to. It's like if I know I'm talking to people who understand my local slangs, then it's not a problem. If I'm talking to people who might not understand it, then yeah, I might dial it back a bit and try to be more standardized. But once you kind of get into a conversation and you kind of have a feel for where you are, and where you could be more comfortable saying certain things. But yeah, I'm not saying don't. But yeah, of course, standard English has, has its uses. Let me not act like let me not give the impression that you shouldn't. Yeah, it has its uses, but yeah, not necessarily it's the only thing that should be used. Love the mini rants. Yeah, I'm a bit of on a bit of a wild tangent. I think in Shakespearean times, people seemed more articulate to me. Well, if you think about this, though, like back then, you kind of had to be, because I was reading what's the book called? Frankenstein, by Mary Shelley. Frankenstein or the Modern Day Prometheus, to give it its full title, right? By Mary Shelley, and this is like 1700s. I think this book was written, something like that, 1700s, and the whole book is letters. It's written in the form of letters, as in a person writing a letter to his sister. And he's describing all these events that are happening in the story, the Doctor and Frankenstein, and he's describing it. And yeah, it's written very much in that very descriptive way. And I was kind of looking at thinking about it myself, like back then, you kind of had to be, right? Because if I'm writing a letter to somebody, and they're not going to receive that letter for maybe a week or two, maybe even up to a month. And by the time they reply to that letter, that might be another, 3, 4 weeks, maybe a month. So I might write a letter today and it could be 2 months before I get a response. So I've got to be as detailed as possible to let you know all the things that are going on. So by the time you read the letter, you're clear on what's happening. Because if I make a mistake or if I don't explain something properly, and then I have to wait 2 months for you to be like, I have no idea what you're saying. You know what I mean? Imagine like you write a letter, you don't explain things properly, you send it, and the person writes back to you. It's 2 months later at this point. They're like, dude, I have no idea what you just said in that last letter. Please explain. So now you got to send it again and explain it again. And then you have to wait another 2 months for your you know what I'm saying? So you kind of had to be very, very clear and articulate and all that kind of stuff back in the days when all you had was letters. And not only was it just all you had was letters, the way you send a letter was like, horseback, stuff like that. You have to give it to some guy and he goes riding off into the night on a horseback. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I guess you kind of had to be. It makes sense. These days I could just send a text and it's like, if I make a mistake, it's not a problem. I'm getting a message back. It's like, what the hell was that? And oh, sorry, my bad. You know what I mean? So Yeah, language affects the times, isn't it? The way you speak affects the times. Thing overly complicated, but it do sound more beautiful. Yeah. Uh, I do like Shakespearean way speaking. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like when I used to read a lot of those older books, like older, like Shakespearean times, not Shakespeare books specifically, but that kind of time frame of books. And yeah, I do like the way of it 'cause it is very kind of descriptive, and the words. And there's a lot of words that they had that they used back then that you don't really use anymore. That I think are kind of cool, like nabob. That's one that I remember. This man is a nabob. Nabob, by the way, means what is it again? I think yeah, spendthrift, like someone who just spends a lot of money. It's called a nabob. We need to bring that word back. This man is a nabob. We need to bring that word back. Nabob. You find running on the treadmill puts a tremendous strain on your appendages, mainly your joints. Not particularly. I mean, I find running on the treadmill or running on the street fine. Either's fine with me. I just prefer to run on the streets just because I like the idea of moving and actually going somewhere rather than moving and staying in the same place over and over again. But yeah, no, I don't particularly find any. I mean, that could be down to things like just making sure your knees are bending because you know when you're running, you want to make sure you get a bounce in your knees, and like your and your ankles a bit looser as well, so that you're not just striking the ground and you know that kind of thing. So it could be just maybe adjusting your. I mean, if you are having like pains or strains, things like that. If you're having that, it could be a case of having to adjust just maybe slightly where you run. So what I say to that as somebody who is not an expert in running or any kind of medical professional, as someone who should definitely not be taking any kind of advice from, but you know, I've watched a few YouTube videos if that counts for anything. But what you might want to do is just try slowing down on a treadmill and just getting a feel of how you move when you're running and then speed it up and try to maintain that posture as you're running. So yeah, just go slow and just get a feel for, you know, your movements or your body movements and making sure that you're you know, getting like you know, your knees are bending, your ankles are loose, you know, you're not just like hitting the ground too hard and things like that. Maybe curving your feet a little bit, you know, make sure your feet are facing forward, you know, that sort of thing as well. But yeah, just get a feel for just the movements of your body as you're running. And then as you get good at that and get more used to that, then start speeding up a little bit, get used to that, speed up a little bit. But yeah, maybe just slow it down and then yeah, just start from there. Okay, if it gives you money, can I skip it now? Oof, oh, I hear that. Yeah, gotta get that dough, man. Gotta get that dough. Yeah, but the thing is, I was overnight so satisfied. How am I right now? I'm just trying to build muscle, more like keeping my body in shape. Okay, so there's a lot of like weights you're doing then, and yeah, protein. Get that protein. When I'm in the gym, the treadmill puts a tremendous strain on my lower extremities. Oof, yeah, it might be a case of just like trying to adjust your. There's actually a place you can go to. It's in. Oof, I think it's in Chelsea or somewhere near Chelsea. Anyway, it's in West London somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's in West London. Um, but it's basically a running clinic where you can go to and learn how to run. Basically, but what they do is that they help you find your running stride and stuff like that. I've never been, so I don't know what it costs or how it works exactly. But I've you know passed it by a few times, and I've seen what those types of places are. And again, watching YouTube. Um, but yeah, there's a place like that somewhere in West London. I forget what it's called, but that's called foot surgery. I don't remember what it's called. But anyway, but yeah, you might I don't know, like I say, it could be worth considering doing stuff like that just to find how you need to be running. They also do things like measuring your feet and like finding and making shoes like, you know, for your feet to make sure you run properly. Like it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Wa enter Keith Halleck. Wa enter. I know what is and. enter. That's like you. Oh, how am I doing? Okay, yeah, 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 yeah. How am I doing? How am I doing? Um, how am I doing? Bihar. Yeah, Bihar, Bihar. Anna Bihar, Anna Bihar, Anna Bihar, Anna Bihar. Shukran, shukran. I learned a little bit of Arabic when I was going to Saudi Arabia. I was learning some Arabic on the way there, and there was that was last month. No, what was that? It was June, so a couple of months ago. Um, yeah, I haven't remembered some of it. I should try and learn Arabic properly. I think I do want to learn more languages. I'm currently learning French right now, but I do want to learn more languages after because I'm learning French and I've sort of started learning Spanish as well, just kind of casually. But I say the main language I'm learning is French, and then Spanish kind of slightly on the side. But yeah, the plan for me is to just learn as many languages as I can, really. And I don't got to be super fluent in all of them because I feel like never say never, but that's kind of a lofty goal as well. So it's more to get to a point where I could at least have basic conversations with people um, in at least like three languages. That's the kind of the plan. Well, maybe four languages, not including English. I mean, four other languages. But French, I'm doing okay with. I think I feel like I'm at a point with French where I just need to practice speaking. Um, I just need to practice speaking because I've learned quite a bit, and I'm definitely not fluent or even close to being fluent. But I'm at a point where I feel like I just need to practice speaking and forming sentences in French and get used to doing that. Um, and then, of course, learn more words. That's always helpful. All our TV shows are American, and our schools teach us American English, not UK. Oh, that is interesting. That is really interesting. But then again, I guess it makes sense because American English is probably more known in term because of like there's a lot more movies, a lot more musicians, or maybe not a lot more, but certainly more popular movies and musicians. So it's probably the one that you hear the most just anyway, right? If you're just put on the radio or something, you're likely to hear an American song, or if you put on TV, you might like to see American movies more so than an English movie, right? So yeah, I guess that kind of just makes sense to focus on that. That means you say things like, "What's up, dog?" Can I speak Nigerian? Well, so there's three languages in Nigeria, and none of them are called Nigerian. So let's start there. Well, there's three main languages, I should say. There's three main languages. There's actually quite a lot of languages spoken in Nigeria, but there's three main ones, which is Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. My family is Yoruba, and but to answer the question, no, I do not speak Yoruba fluently. But yeah, that's another language I'm trying to learn as well. The only problem with learning Yoruba though is that in fact a lot of African languages, not all, but certainly a lot of African languages, is that there's not that many good resources for learning Yoruba. I find, like for example, Duolingo. I know a lot of people hate Duolingo, but I happen to like it. So I stand Duolingo. Duolingo I find to be a pretty good resource for learning languages, but yeah, it doesn't have Yoruba. It doesn't have quite a lot of African languages. It's got a few Asian languages, but again, it's not a lot of them as well. Like like I think Hindu is there, but it doesn't have Urdu. Um, so yeah, like it would be cool for me if something like Duolingo had Yoruba an option because that to because I find Duolingo a really good resource, but yeah, they don't have it. And then you can find other sources, but in my opinion, I just don't find them that helpful. They seem to be more focused on telling you words and maybe telling you some sentences, but you're not really learning the language. You know what I mean? It's like because it's one thing to say, okay, this is how you say hello, this is how you say goodbye, this is how you say good morning, and that's all useful stuff. But if I want to form a sentence, I need to know more things like the grammar structure. Like I need to know like the what do you call it? I don't know what they. what they call like the and the if ands and that kind of stuff, um, and how that kind of works. But yeah, I've personally not come across a good resource for learning Yoruba. So yeah, my journey continues. Trust me, if you come to Kuwait and talk British English, in my mind, and everybody's over here will be like, "Ooh." Yeah, top boy is very accurate to the parlance that is spoken in the end. Yes, 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 quite. I do say, my dear chap, Top Boy is very astute in its way, in a way it portrays the youth of South London. First book known by people to be written by a woman. Oh wait, Frankenstein, is that true? I didn't know that. I did not know that. That's the first book known to be written by a woman. Okay. I did not know that. That is really cool. That is interesting. That's actually one of my favorite books as well. One of my favorite books that I've ever not to be fair, I guess I haven't read as much books as people who actually read books, but even still, from out of the books that I've read in my entire life, that is actually one of my favorite books. I think I've read it twice actually. But yeah, I really liked Frankenstein. I didn't know it was the first book known to be written by a woman. I didn't know that. So that is a really cool fact. Thank you for telling me. I spoke to one guy from Hertfordshire. We were joking about what we think about each other. I was like, he said, bloody hell, bloody hell, bloody hell, mate, bottle water. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing about a lot of parts of the UK. Like we don't pronounce a lot of our T's. If there's a T, except when it's at the beginning of a word, like tiger, for example, like you'll say tiger. Um, but if it's in the middle of a word, or even sometimes at the end of the word, we don't really say the T. Like the T gets dropped. It's almost like a silent letter, where it's like you're about to say it, but you don't quite say it. Like so. Yeah, bottle water. Bottle water. That is that is pretty accurate. Bottle water. May I have a bottle of water, please? Water. Water. She had a fake name because it was a scandal that she wrote the book. Really? She was married to this is what I do know actually about Mary Shelley, that she was married to Peter Blythe Shelley, who was also an author. Um Peter Blythe Shelley, I think he was a poet actually. Um but yeah, they were both writers. They were both writers. But yeah, that is interesting. I should yeah. I read the book. I guess I didn't read much about her life. Oof. I know she was really young when she wrote it. That what much I think it was like 18 or 19 when she wrote Frankenstein. That much I do know. So not only was she the first woman, nor the first known woman to write a book, she also did it when she was like really young. Like, dude, I'm just joking. You can joke around with my big accent thing. I won't be offended or blow up. True American movies and songs are more popular indeed. Yeah. Yo, what up, Sam? Sam B in the place to be. How is ye? Can you speak pigeon? No. I mean pigeon. You mean like pigeon Europe? Yeah, no. I mean you have to first speak. I think you have to first speak Europe before you could do pigeon. Um, but no, no. Yeah. I mean, I think I probably understand pidgin English, like Jamaican pidgin English, more so just because of I grew up, around a lot of Jamaicans. So I probably understand that. I wouldn't say I can speak it. Certainly not fluently anyway. But I think I could understand like Jamaican Pidgin English a bit more so than other forms, just because yeah, I grew up around Jamaican, so I was kind of like just there all the time. You'd hear it. The main tribes in Nigeria, which one is the largest? Hausa, Fulani. I don't know which is the largest one. Yoruba is the most popular one, though. I don't know if that's the largest, but um, yeah, 'cause I don't know what the sizes are, but I know Yoruba is probably the most popular, certainly the most popular outside of Nigeria. So, for example, if you watched, the Black Panther movies, like the accents were based on a few different regions in Africa, but a lot of it was very much based on Yoruba. Um, especially the guy, I forget his name, the big dude, I can't remember his name right now, but the big dude who was in the fish tribe. Yeah, that was very much not sort of Nigerian accents, and so Yoruba accent. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the largest tribe is, but Europe is, yeah, definitely the most popular. At least from what I can tell, it seems to be the most popular or the most spread out. Anyway, if you meet somebody from Nigeria, like 8, 9 times out of 10, it's probably Yoruba. We're gonna take over the world, man, little bit by little bit. Women weren't allowed to publish books because they weren't supposed to be educated. It's super interesting. Indeed. There's actually that rumor about Shakespeare, how his plays were apparently written by a woman, a black woman. According to a lot of the rumors, that there was the story goes that, at least is what I'm hearing anyway. Of course, there's no way of proving this, but the story is that William Shakespeare was a real person that really did exist. And apparently he had a servant who would write those plays. And because women weren't allowed to, publish books and things like that at the time, he took her books and published under his name, to get them out there, to not books, sorry, the plays, and to put them under his name to get them out there. So yeah, that's a pretty big rumor that people try to prove in various ways. But well, is it true? Is it not true? Wow, guess what? Maybe we'll never know. But yeah, I know the thing about women not being able to write books or publish books, that's a thing. So it certainly wouldn't be unthinkable that there might have been a lot of books under men's names that women actually wrote that you may never know, right? Because at the time they would just been like, maybe they just put it under their husband's name or something like that, or their brother's name, and we'd think this guy was a great author that all the time it was his sister that wrote the book, and we just never knew. We just never knew. Yeah, that's a fascinating thing about when you look into history, is like how much of it is like you could find out really interesting stuff, or really things about the past, but it also kind of makes you question about what we know about, or at least what we think we know about things. And did this thing really happen, or could it have been this way, but based on what we know. Thank you for laughing about it. I was really joking. That's so good. We can joke around here. We can joke around here. Just don't be creepy. We can joke about all kinds of stuff. We can even get a little bit inappropriate. But there's a line. You know what I'm saying? There's a line. There's a line. There is a line, but it's cool. It's cool. You're well within the line right now, so don't even worry about it. Amsterdam was great. I've got some pictures. I'm going to show you some pictures actually. Let me show you some pictures. But Amsterdam was great. I had a good time out there. Uh, just being enjoying the weather. The title of your show sounds like a line from Pulp Fiction. It is actually. It actually is. Oh man, Amsterdam. That was a line from Pulp Fiction. So yeah, that literally is it. It's from Pulp Fiction. It's what I think Marcellus Wallace says it to not Jules, Vincent, when they come into when Jules and Vincent enter the club, he says, "Oh man, in Amsterdam." So yeah, it's from Pulp Fiction. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. You know what? I saw on Twitter actually somebody was asking if anybody's completed watching that film, and apparently the person it was a tweet that kind of gets on Twitter people retweet stuff, and sometimes they get retweeted like thousands of times, and eventually ends up in your timeline. It was one of those ones. So yeah, the person wrote um has anybody actually watched this film the whole way through? I got 50 minutes through and I was like, WTF or something like that. And a lot of people liked it and retweeted it. So yeah, apparently you're not the only one. If that's of any comfort to you, little Jakes, you are not the only one who couldn't complete that film. So apparently it's a thing. Apparently it's a thing. So there's a lot of people out there who did not complete that film, at least according to the like and retweet numbers. Maybe some people just liked it for the sake of liking it. I don't know, but I imagine at least a few of those likes were people who agreed with the fact that they couldn't complete the film. I'm somewhat assuming anyway. Oh, better now than to ain't never gonna happen. Well, no time away. But yeah, that's the first picture I took. That's actually the first picture I took for the day, not necessarily in Amsterdam. So to get to Amsterdam from London, well, the way I did it, you can do it on a train. I went by aeroplane by British Airways. I'm trying to pronounce that T. British. British Airways. British. Actually, no, one said British Airways. I went by British Airways. Forget the T. um. So yeah, this is what I was still in Heathrow Airport. I got a coffee at Heathrow. That was it was a iced no, an iced Americano. I can't really call it velvet Americano iced. I can't remember what it was nice though. It was a nice drink. And that's just me just standing sitting in Heathrow, but it's felt like taking a picture by the computer screen thingy. And yeah, and that was landing in Amsterdam. So I got off the train, I got off the plane, excuse me. Um, and yeah, took a picture outside the airport. That's kind of like a thing that I do. Like I want anytime I visit a new city. Well, not to be fair, I haven't done this every single time. I haven't done this every single time, but most times I visit a new city, the first one of the first things I like to do is take a picture, like a selfie, outside of the airport or the train station or things like that. So yeah, that's me after landing in Amsterdam at Schiphol Amsterdam Airport. And I took these pictures because I thought it was a really cool thing. Their train, well, some of their trains anyway, have two floors. I mean, you can see it on the we should yeah, you should be seeing the picture, but the train literally has like two floors. So you go on the ground floor. There's a stairs that leads to the upper deck. I don't think I've ever seen a train with two decks like that. At least I don't think I have. But yeah, there's some. Not all their trains do this, but some of their trains do. So I guess the ones that take a lot of people do, and the ones that don't take a lot of people don't. So yeah, but I thought it was a cool thing anyway. I was only there for a couple of nights, so I wasn't a long trip. Wasn't a long trip. I was there for 2 nights. Forget the T. Don't worry about it. I find English accent sexy already. I'm planning on going to Amsterdam myself next month. Awesome. Definitely get a stroopwafel. I didn't get a stroopwafel myself, actually, but apparently that's the thing to do in Amsterdam is to get a stroopwafel. I didn't do that, so I'm gonna have to go back just so I can get a stroopwafel. But yeah, this is Amsterdam Central Station. So I got a train from the airport to Amsterdam Central. It's about 20 minutes on a train, I think it was. And yeah, that's just outside the station. And this is maybe my first picture of like actual Amsterdam, just taking a picture of a boat. There's a lot of water as well, by the way. You go anywhere, there's like rivers and canals or lakes. I don't know, but there's a lot of water, a lot of water. I'm going with you, Jay. Happy you won't take me. Well, I'll go on holiday to get away from you, innit? Why would I take you? That's what I need a holiday from. You know what I mean? You need a holiday from. Got a whole month off next month. I can't wait. Awesome. You love I bet. You've been told before. Nah, I'm only playing. I'm only playing. I mean, I'm not, but yeah. That was a museum across the river. I don't know what museum that is called, but it's a really cool building. It's a really cool looking building. It looks like a spaceship. Never been there. Yeah, that was my first time going as well. Some of the pictures I just took around. One thing about I'll say about Amsterdam is that they have a lot of trams and things like that, which is cool and that. But like, I mean, this picture doesn't really do it justice. But a lot of times you're walking, it's difficult to tell the difference between the roads and the pavement. You know what I mean? Like this picture, I think is pretty clear, but sometimes you walking down the streets, I'm like, I think I'm on the pavement, and then you see like, you know, you kind of turn and there's like a car coming or something. I'm like, oh, whoa. It's like so. Yeah, it was difficult sometimes to tell the difference between the roads and the pavements. And they have a lot of bike lanes as well. And the bike lanes look like roads, like regular roads. So it's yeah, it's a bit of a mad one. I guess you get used to it when you're there. But as a person go for the first time, yeah, best believe I'm looking both ways. You know what I mean? When I'm crossing the road, I'm looking both ways, like double checking, like okay. Plus, they drive on the right hand side of the road as well, which is just confusing for Brits. Let me Jacob, but I'll be nice that you take me. Looks like such a people say love the architecture. Yeah, no, definitely some really cool architecture there for sure. That was one of the trams there. I never got a tram, but they have a lot of trams. Um, Amsterdam is known for quite a few things, by the way, or Holland, I should say, in general, is known for a few things, and that's one of them. That's one of the things they're known for. It's a very popular thing. Um, so yeah, I did get high in Amsterdam. Um, but, yeah, and yeah, clogs. They're famous for their clogs. Yo, Braxbivy and a place to bivvy. That was a hotel that I was staying at, Van Gelder Hotel. Hey, did you try the edibles? Well, I ate something. This is where I ate actually. That's the first place I ate. Speaking of edibles, um, I went to this place and this was a good spot. So here's the thing, right, about kebabs. I've had kebabs, I think, in a few different cities now. And one thing I will say that as a kebab connoisseur that I am clearly is that no matter where you go in the world, kebabs are local food. You know what I mean? Like they might have started in Turkey or Germany. I'm not sure if they started in Turkey or Germany. I feel like Turkey and Germany fight over who invented the kebab, so they can fight all they want. As far as I'm concerned, no matter where you are in the world, kebabs are local food. So like, here's the thing. This was kebab shop in Amsterdam, right? Look at this thing. So you've probably seen like doner kebabs and stuff like that, where they wrap it in pizza bread, right? That's what they do in Amsterdam. So you can't really see from the picture, but underneath all of that is the chips. All right. So they fry the chips. They have it put at the bottom. On top of the chips, they put like your sauces and then like your condiments, things like that. And then on top of that, they put like your veg, like your kebab veg, like your lettuce and all that sort of stuff, right? With onions and things. Um, on top of that, they put the kebab meat, and I got beef and chicken kebabs, right? So on top of that, they put the kebab meat. Then on top of that, yeah, and Sam, you're gonna like this. On top of that, they put the cheese, and then they melt the cheese. So that's the melted cheese on top of all of that, right? And let me tell you something. Oh, magnificent. That was so good. That was so good. That was so good. Like, mate, that was oof. Like it was so yeah, they hooked me up. They hooked me up. Get away from me. I need a break, man. I need a break. There's no way I would dare to take any mood altering substances. And I love kebabs. It's amazing. Oh, they're so good, man. Territories. Oh, and it was oof. That drink was all right. I like the drink too, but that kebab, oh. And that was I went with a large one. I said the only thing I didn't like is that when you're eating it, it's like I want more. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. It was pretty big what they gave me. I ain't gonna. I ain't, let me not undersell it. Let me. But it was pretty big. But you eating something, you just like I just want more of it. You eating something, you just want it to not end. That's what that was. That's what that was. It's like you eat and you're like, can this just not end? Can I just? But yeah, and Mario because Mario's cool. I could stay, but I gotta go. Enjoy you. Appreciate you coming through. Peaceful me. Let's see if I can remember this one now. Oh no, I've forgotten how to say goodbye in Arabic. I'm sorry, but I appreciate you coming through. Um, hopefully, I stream usually every Tuesday about 8 p.m. ish GMT. 8 p.m. ish GMT. Um, ish. The ish is important, by the way, because it's yeah. But yeah, if you can make it to another one, that'd be awesome. Or maybe check a video that I sometimes post during the week whenever I feel like it. But yeah, appreciate you coming through. Big up to you, and enjoy the rest of your evening too. Two countries, American, Jamaican. That's it. I definitely got to travel more, dude. Got to travel more. Yo, what up, Brax? Brax, Biv in a place to bivvy. Don't even have a passport, Jake. Little, you can put me in your suitcase. Put it in his wallet. Yeah, some scenery from around town. Oh, there's a lot of bicycles as well. I say they have the bicycle lanes. Al Salama. Okay, that's how I say goodbye. Okay, cool. I'll try to remember that. Ma Al Salama. Ma Al Salama. Ma Al Salama. Peaceful me. Appreciate you coming through. Ma Al Salama. Till whence we meet again. It has to be unfortunate to fit in my suitcase. Or just really, really small. I just thought this was really cool. It was just a dumpster with the word cinema that somebody wrote on it. So I was like, yeah, I want to take a picture of that. Comic book store, or actually, it was a movie store that just had a comic book poster. But yeah, it was a movie store, had movie posters and stuff like that, and movie memorabilia. I didn't go in because it was closed when I walked past it. I mostly just walked around town. Like that's the main thing I did is just walk around town, take pictures of stuff that I thought was interesting, like a sleeping cat, and sit on a swing. Take my bro. You know what? You probably could get away with like if you had a suitcase big enough or a person small enough. In theory, you probably could get away with putting someone in a suitcase, right? Because I mean, if that to be one of those hard case suitcases, and of course you'd have to have something in there so they can breathe, right? So they'll just suffocate to death, right? So have some kind of breathing apparatus so they could, do that. And of course, food and maybe a light so they don't go completely crazy. But yeah, if you had somebody small enough and a suitcase big enough, you could actually, you know what? You'd have to pay for the extra baggage because extra weight because like usually, airlines have limits of like how much weight you can take. And even if you're a small human, you probably weigh more than those limits. So you'd have to pay. You definitely have to pay for the extra weight limit, right? You have to pay for the extra weight, and those extra weight limits are expensive. They're not cheap. In fact, they could sometimes be more than what the flight costs. You know what I mean? Like it can. Yeah. In theory, it can be done. In practice, it's probably not a good idea. because a flight might be like 30 quid, right? Something like that, 30 or 40 quid. But you could definitely pay like £100, £200 just to get extra baggage, extra weight to carry. So yeah, can be done, maybe shouldn't be done. Are you calling me fat? No, it's big boned. Yeah, you might have to have two suitcases. So you're definitely paying for the extra weight, but that's an expensive trip, dude. Oh, this was really cool. I mean, then I mean, people have been expensive, but yeah, it's pretty cool nonetheless. A guy who died because his girlfriend locked him in a suitcase, and he said, "Oh, I didn't hear about that, but yeah, I could imagine that happening." She locked him in a suitcase. That's crazy though. Like, was it? I mean, what is it? Was it for a flight, or she just like had enough of him and put him in a suitcase? I mean, either way, it's not a good thing. But that is mad. Netherlands. Not planning to go there. Oh, I've been to the Netherlands. These are the pictures that I took. Um, I've been to the Netherlands. I've been to Amsterdam over the weekend. Just gone. These are the pictures that I took while I was there. Yeah, it was once visiting. I'll stay home and take the hint. You know what? It's probably cheaper to get a passport than and travel than it is to try and fit in a suitcase. I'm just thinking about it now, actually. Like, if you try to put someone in a suitcase, like the amount of money you'd pay for the extra baggage, right? It's probably cheaper to just get a passport and pay for the flight. Like, you know what I mean? It's probably it'll probably cost because the price to Amsterdam, I think the flight was about 50 or £60, somewhere around there. I did it back in January. I can't remember exactly how much I paid. And it was a package deal as well. So I don't remember the specifics. But the flight was maybe about 50, £60, right? But to carry like the extra baggage, like the amount of extra weight you'd have to buy for a person, I think you're easily spending upwards of like £500, like £400, £500 for the extra baggage. And that's assuming they even allow that much extra weight, you know? So yeah, it's probably just easier and cheaper to get a passport and pay for the flight. I'm just saying, just get a passport, pay for the flight. You'd actually save money doing it that way. And you won't have to smell Jacob's underwear. Imagine being stuffed in a suitcase and it's just like skid marks on the underwear, and it's like, bruh. And not only that, you got to pay like £500 for that. You got to pay £500 to be in a suitcase for like 2 hours. Well, actually, no, it's not that long. The flight's about an hour. Actually, no. The flight's an hour, but you have to check in at least 2 hours before the flight. And of course, you have to get ready before you check in, which means you'd have to get in a suitcase about 3 hours before the flight, be on the flight for an hour, and then come off, wait for Jacob to come through what do you call it, the passports, immigration stuff, then get to the bit where you could collect the suitcase. And that could be like another 30, 40 minutes, maybe up to an hour as well. So in total, you could be in a suitcase for about 5 hours, 5 hours minimum in a suitcase with Jacob's skin marks underwear, having to breathe that in all the time. Well, you'd have to hold your pee for that long as well. Oof. You have to hold your pee for 5 hours. Either that or just, let it out in the suitcase and just have piss stained clothes. I mean, it's Jacob's clothes, so I guess that don't matter. Yeah. I was went to Finland. Ah, nice. She had planned to kill it. Oh, so she played hide and seek. He hid inside the suitcase, and she saw the opportunity to lock him inside. She filmed him pleading. Oh, that is so cruel. She ignored him, so he died. Oh, that is so cruel. But he got inside the suitcase himself. How did he zip it up from the inside, though? Because the moment she started zipping it up, it's like, well, I found you. Unless I don't know, maybe she did something else, knocked him out, something. Don't hide in suitcases when playing hide and seek. Be a normal person and go hide in the arcades. Something place one place you'll never look. That's mad though. That is so cruel to do that. That is so cruel. But yeah, people are cruel. There's some cruel people as well. And it's a damn shame. Watching too much crime stuff. Oof. I mean, real crime shows could be interesting though. Maybe he didn't mop the floors properly. You know, it's probably something like that as well. Like he left the toilet seats up. He left the toilet seat at one too many times. She was like, "I'm gonna kill this guy." So this is an interesting one. So this is a place I looked up on the Google Maps for. I was looking for coffee spots near my hotel, right? And I saw a place called the Coffee Gallery, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds really cool." So I went there, and it turns out the Coffee Gallery isn't a coffee shop. It's a tunnel. It's a tunnel. Like, I mean, technically, you can get coffee there. There are shops there that sell coffee, but the shop it's not a coffee shop. It's a tunnel called a Coffee Gallery. So I was kind of like, a little bit disappointed that wasn't a coffee shop itself, even though there are coffee shops there. It's just the coffee gallery wasn't a coffee shop. The coffee gallery is a tunnel. But still, there's some cool artwork. So that was something. I did get coffee at this place though, which is a nice spot. It was nearby the coffee gallery. That's what I got there. That was a real nice coffee as well. Like I got the it was a black coffee that I got, but yeah, it was real nice. Real nice. You know, one thing I like to do sometimes time is just get a black coffee because I feel like you can tell a lot about how if you just get a black coffee or like an americano or something like that, just something really simple, and just drink it plain, no sugar, no milk, nothing like that. Just drink it plain and to see how that tastes. Like when you get that right, you know what I mean? Because a lot of places don't get that right. You know what I mean? Like I've been to places where they don't get even just a black coffee right. Like it's either too watery or things like that. But yeah, they definitely got it right. They got it right. Um, I think this was the red light district. I can't remember. Or no, maybe not. No, no, it wasn't. It wasn't red light districts later on. Um, put the locks on the zippers. I see. I see. She yeah, cruel person. This was a flower shop. I don't go inside because they were closed when I got there, but they sell flowers in this shop. They sell flowers in this shop. Black plate. Oh, for real, man. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the lattes and the cappuccinos, and I like different types of coffees, of course. But just a plain black coffee. If you could get that right, oof, yeah. Most marks in the toilet. Oh, that is annoying when people do it, isn't it? Like how hard it is to use a toothbrush. Don't use a toothbrush in the toilet. Actually, that's a bad idea. But how hard is it to use a toilet brush to just like you know what I mean? Like you flush a toilet, you get a toilet brush. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. But people be like leaving their skid marks at the bottom of the toilet and just walking away. Or their piss droplets on the toilet rim. It's like, dude, like tissue. Come on, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Just be pissing on the toilet rim and just walking away. Like, come on, man. This was the This was the Nemo Science Museum. So I didn't go inside the Science Museum because I had to be careful about how much money I was spending. But you can go on top of the Science Museum for free. So earlier when I told you I got high in Amsterdam, this is what I meant. I went on top of a building and got pretty high up off the ground. So yeah, like yourself, little Jakes. I don't partake in the devil's lettuce myself. No judgment to people who do, but yeah, that's not something that that I do. But I did get high in Amsterdam by going on the roof of the Nemo building. Joking and we'll say there's people are cruel. Oh no, yeah, I got that you were joking. I got that you were joking, but yeah, even still, don't be leaving the skid marks in the toilets. It's just not nice. It's just not nice. Definitely get high in Amsterdam. High in Amsterdam. But yeah, cruel people in the world. But yeah, it was actually quite nice on top of the Nemo building though, because yeah, they got a coffee shop there. So I went up in the building on the roof, got a coffee, um, and just sat down and just enjoyed the view while I was sipping a coffee. So yeah, it was even though I didn't get to go inside. I mean, I took a picture from there, and that's but yeah, it was still pretty cool. Like random videos of things. So this they have this thing where you could like pump water. And yeah, just going back down. This is something interesting. I don't know, like I thought this was interesting, but their green man faces the other way. Like I'm pretty sure in the UK the green man faces to the right, but over there that faces to the left. I don't know. Am I tripping? Am I bugging? Because I feel like it's the other way. I mean, not that it matters, by the way. If it doesn't matter, but I feel like the green man faces the other way in the UK than it does there. And just because it's called Gandalf, I just thought, yeah. One thing I will say that I didn't see a lot of really cool street art. Um, because I look out for street arts, graffiti artists and things like that. I like to look out for them, and I didn't really see much cool street art. A lot of it was like just signatures and tagging and stuff. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of tagging, but yeah, as far as like the art goes, like there wasn't a lot. This is one of the cooler pieces that I saw, but yeah, even that I ain't gonna lie, man. It's mostly just tags. Um, So yeah, I didn't see a lot of art. Maybe that's because I was mostly in the central of Amsterdam, and maybe it's not there as much. Maybe in other parts of the city it might be, but yeah, that was a library I went to. It was a pretty cool library actually, real big, real big. But they had a rotary phone, which was kind of cool. Oh, and I bought coffee, got coffee beans. So another thing that I try to do as well when I visit different places is get coffee from like bring home coffee from that region. So this is oh, what was this? Rwanda. Yeah, it was Rwandan coffee, Rwanda coffee beans, but they're roasted in Amsterdam. You generally don't get. I mean, you guys will know this, I'm sure, but coffee generally comes. The coffee beans generally don't come from the country that you're buying them from. They'll come from whether, well, in this case, Rwanda, or they might be from Ethiopia, or Colombia, or other places like that. So, like, you generally be right back. I in a bit. So yeah, the coffee beans generally don't come from the country buying from in a lot of cases, but they are roasted in that country. So yeah, what I look for is beans that are roasted in the place that that I'm visiting. So and this was a pack that I bought from the coffee company. So it's called Gitwe. They're Rwandan coffee beans, but they're roasted in Amsterdam. In fact, the lady told me they're roasted not far from the shop that I bought them from, which is really cool. I haven't tried these yet; they're still sealed, so I got a lot of coffee to get through. So eventually. I didn't even realize I got a bird in flight. Oh, awesome! I need to spot that now because I was trying to take a picture of these birds at the bottom, and I've got a bird in flight as well, which is really cool. That was a kiwi drink I had, kiwi strawberry. That was the mosque that I visited. It's the inside of that. Superman and Batman. You can't really see Batman too well because of the light, but Superman and Batman just watching over the city. The red velvet ice cream lolly. That was really nice, actually. Another place I went to, that was the Grill Burger. That was all right. This place was okay. It was a bit pricey though, and I felt like the portion sizes didn't quite match the price. That being said, I ain't gonna lie, those were some nice chips. Like the nuggets were okay. The nuggets were okay. But those chips, I ain't gonna lie, those chips were nice, and especially that sauce, like that frite sauce they have. Oh, that is so good. Like that is so good, mate. Like I don't know what they put in that, but oof. They have a lot of duck shops, like rubber duck shops. I guess rubber ducks is a thing in Amsterdam, but there was a lot of these rubber duck shops that I saw. And Harry Styles, because I got it like that. I got it like that.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh, this is really cool, actually.
it's difficult. Take two.
That was really cool. And yeah, some other things I saw just walking around. Yo, what up, Reese? Reese M, how you been? Hey, Hayes, how's it going? It's going all right, man. I'm just showing some pictures from my recent trip to Amsterdam. But yeah, I've been doing all right, bro. I've been doing all right. How you been? Been a minute since I seen you in the chat, dude. How you been? How you and the fam? This is probably the cool. I'll say yeah, not even probably. This is definitely the coolest street art that I saw. This is definitely the coolest street art I saw. I really like this piece, like a Rubik's cube pen thing. But yeah, this was really cool. I like this. I like this one a lot. Good, thank you. I like that. Oh yeah, this one's a nice one. And then this was my last evening in Amsterdam, and that was my last morning in Amsterdam. Um, got me a coffee and a croissant. And I actually ordered that croissant in Dutch, by the way. That coffee in Dutch. Well, the croissant on the I ordered it in Dutch. I spoke Dutch to the lady, and she understood what I meant. I was like, "Yeah." Oh, this is really cool. They had this in the airport. This is really cool, actually. Look at this. Yeah, that is so cool. Oh yeah, this is back in the UK now. Got myself a milkshake. So yeah, left UK with a coffee from Nero. Got back to UK. I had a milkshake from Nero, and yeah, that's the last picture there. But yeah, that was my Amsterdam trip, bro. That was my Amsterdam trip. Had me a good old time. So I would like to go again. Definitely would like to go again. Hopefully, if I get to go again, I'd have a bit more disposable income because I did have to be a little bit tight with the money this time around. Like I said, I booked it back in January. Like it was booked and paid for back in January. But by the time the trip came around, with other things going on in my life, it was at a point where I was like, bro, I cannot spend too much money. It's a good thing the trip was already paid for. So I'm glad I did that. But yeah, I couldn't spend too much money. I had to be real careful about what I can spend and things like that. And I had to budget myself. So if I get to go again, and hopefully I do, I could do it at a time where I could be a bit more not too loose because I ain't trying to go broken at them, but just hopefully next time if I go, I can have a be a bit more, just a little bit more loose with them with the cash flow. But yeah, I went for 2 nights, so I arrived on Saturday afternoon and left Monday afternoon. So yeah, 2 nights back. Had to pee. Now imagine being in a suitcase for 5 hours and having to pee. Oof, that'd be painful. Ugh. No, red light district then, huh? You know, I actually did go to the red light district. I did take a picture. I guess I missed it, or I just yeah. And this was it then. I think this was it. This was the red light district. So here's the thing. This is it. Let me show you again, real quick. Let me show you. Yeah, this was the red light district. That was the red light district. So here's the thing. I went to the red light district in the morning. Okay. I didn't go in the evening. I went in the morning. Because where my hotel is, or was rather, it's not my hotel, but where I stay in is about a 5-ish minute walk from the red light district. And here's the thing. I kind of wanted to go because, it's a part of Amsterdam culture. It's a big part of, what Amsterdam is known for. But at the same time, I didn't want to see certain things. Like I purposefully didn't want to you know, be walking down the street and someone's flashing a coochie in front of you. I don't want to see that. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to go, but I don't need to see. Yeah, I don't need to see that. So like, I was like, all right, cool. Let me go in the morning. When it went, let me go in the morning where it's still the same district, but just not when the red lights come on. So this is the red light district in daylight. But yeah, that's it. That's it. So you had a good time. I did have a good time, even though I couldn't spend the money that I wanted to spend because there's definitely things I had to say no to. But yeah, I still had a good time. Still had a good old time. Uh, I'm coming next time. Get your passport ready. Get your passport ready because maybe Jacob don't mind you pissing on his clothes. I would mind you pissing on mine. That would be a problem. That would be a problem. So get your passport ready. I don't want my clothes being pissed on. Get your passport ready. I want to go there. Yeah, I wanted to go there years ago, but I've given up smoking weed, so it probably be wouldn't be worth me going now. I mean, I think it's still worth going. It's still worth going. There's definitely a lot of things to do that don't involve smoking weed. Um, that being said, yeah, weed is definitely a big part of Amsterdam culture for sure. And just walking around, you're going to see a lot of coffee shops, right? And I mean, those types of coffee shops. So you basically have the two types of coffee shops in Amsterdam. You got the coffee shops, as in what we in Britain would call a coffee shop. Like the Starbucks type places or the local cafes, and you got those types of coffee shops. But then you also have the coffee shops. Right, and it's very clear what the difference is as you're walking around. You'll know very clearly which types of coffee shops are which. Like it's not hard to tell. But yeah, it's a big part of their culture for sure. But yeah, there's plenty to do that don't involve weed. So yeah, you can still have a good time out there and you know not partake. I think the smell would make me. Oh no, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, you'll smell it. You'll smell it. Um, I had to. You know what? I actually got a bit shook though because like I'm walking down the street and I could smell the weed, right? And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? People do what they do. That's their business, whatever, all that stuff. You do you. I ain't saying that. But here's the thing. if I come back to London smelling like weed, you know what I mean? That could be a problem. That could be a problem. So yeah, I have to be careful with my clothes. I have to be like, you know what? Let me not wear too many different types of clothes. I'm just gonna wear one set of clothes, right? So I'm only there for 2 nights. It's like whatever. I'm gonna wear the same set of clothes. That way, the clothes that end up stinking like weed, I could put them in the bag, and I wear my fresh clothes on the way back. That way, you know what I mean? I could at least trying to hide it a bit. I could at least trying to hide it a bit. So yeah, that's what I did. I just wore the same clothes for the first. So yeah, I arrived on the Saturday afternoon. The same clothes I was wearing then, the same clothes I wore all of the Sunday, and then in the morning on the way getting ready to get. That's where I was like, okay, then I could wear something different. Just go to the airport. I can't come back to the UK smelling like weed. That would be a problem. It's not a problem over there. It's a problem over here. So I was like, you know what? Make sure I wash those clothes as soon as I get back as well, because they couldn't sniffer dogs in Heathrow. You know, they got them sniffer dogs in Heathrow. On the way there, they had the lady with sniffer dogs. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me not risk this. I can't be coming through Heathrow smelling like wheat. No, let me not risk this. I do feel a lot better since giving it up. Everyone says I look healthier. Oh, okay, awesome. That's really good. That's really good. Health is wealth, man. Health is wealth. And you got to do what's right for you for your health as well. Because keep it real, ain't none of us getting any younger. You know what I mean? We ain't getting any younger. Like I mean, I think you're still on the younger side of things, but you know, let's keep it real, not for much longer, right? I think you have told me your age. I can't remember your age. I can't remember what number you was, but if I'm remembering correctly, you're still on the younger side of old. You're still on the younger side of old. So yeah, give it a few more years and it's but yeah, for real, man, you gotta take care of yourself because yeah, we ain't young men no more. You know what I mean? We can't eat like we used to eat. You can't move like you used to move. You gotta take care of yourself because you only get one life. Smoked some weed to France once, and my socks all felt like a proper drug smuggler. Damn, it's probably quite easy to go to smuggle to France though, because like I mean, you go in the Eurostar because I mean, their checks aren't that proper, aren't that thorough. If you went on the Eurostore, their checks are not that thorough. So it's like, you know what, not that you should. Let me be clear on that fact. I'm not saying you should do it, but yeah, it probably is quite easy. It's probably is quite easy. Excuse me. Open my bedroom window. I can smell weed. Yeah, welcome to Hull. I was 35 on the 15th. Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. 35. Man, you are yeah, you still well, maybe not quite the young side. You're on the middle bit of old now. You're in the middle bit of old. About 3 more years and you start to be on the older side. Actually, no, 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 no. 30, no, 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 no. Yeah, no, no, you're still on the young side of old. You're still on the young side of old. You're still on the young side. I think you don't get to the old side of old so you get past about 45. So yeah, right now you're still on the young side of old. Um, you're on the young side of old. But yeah, that number keeps coming up. It never goes down. So gotta take care of yourself, man. You gotta take care of yourself. Yeah, on the Eurostar, it was my only other time going out of England. I was shit myself. It was only a couple of splits worth. No, thanks, man. Yeah, gotta travel more, man. Gotta travel more. I mean, for me, I feel like traveling is one of the best things you can do for yourself. Like traveling to other parts of the world, other cities, other just things that are different to what you're used to is one of the best things you could do for yourself. If you consider like, the world is like this big, right? Let's say the world is this big. Even if you lived till you were 900 years old, right? And you tried your hardest, you'll probably never see more than about this much of it. right? If you tried your hardest for your whole life, you'll probably never see more than this much of it. But that's still worth trying to see. You know what I mean? It's still worth trying to see. So even though you'll never see everything the world has to offer, it's still worth trying because the little that you do see could do so much for you. You know, the little of the worlds that you do see could do so much for you. So yeah, traveling and just like spending a few days, whether it's in a different city, different country, man, I honestly feel like it's one of the best things you could do for yourself. And just seeing as much of the world as you can, you know, and be around different cultures, be around different societies and things like that. To be honest, south of France in the middle of summer. Went to Paris just in when did I go to Paris? July. Yeah, July. Went to Paris in July for a day. Me and a couple of buddies, a couple of my old school buddies. Well, not really school. Old school as in I've known for a long time. We didn't actually go to the same school. But yeah, some friends I've known for a real long time. We went. So it was yeah, me and two other guys. And the plan was, yeah, go there in the morning and just spend the day there, come back in the evening, come back at night. And that's what we did. We just went there, we just walked around, we got coffee, we sat down, we chilled. And it was such a cool thing to do, you know. So I've never been to Paris before. One of my friends, he's been, but me and another guy, we're going for the first time. So it was like, yeah, but yeah, man, more traveling. That's my plan. But you know what though? This year, I've done a lot. Like I've been to I counted it was like 6 different cities this year. That's mad. Because I mean I've traveled before, right? But I've never traveled this much in 1 year before. This is the first time for me. You know, it's the first time for me. I've never traveled this much in 1 year before. So this year, like I've been to Hull. It counts. It's a city that I don't live in. It counts. Okay. So I've been to Hull. I've been to Medina, Mecca, um, Doha, Paris, and just recently Amsterdam. So yeah, 6 different cities that I've been to this year. That is mad. Mad for me anyway. That's mad for me. Maybe for some people that's nothing, but for me that is crazy. I've been to 6 different cities this year. That is oof. I will travel when the kids are old enough to look after themselves. Nah, just go. Just go. Just go. Just leave a couple of like biscuits out. You know, put a couple of biscuits in a tin. It'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. Just go. Just go. Just go for a week. Put some biscuits in the tin, maybe some sandwiches, and it'll be fine. Put the TV on. You know, got to put a TV on. That's important, actually. Biscuits, sandwiches, TV. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Somewhere like Eastern TV with the clear. Oh yeah, yeah, clear also the white sands. Morph, yeah, somewhere like some tropical island or something like that. You know, yeah. What else plays like Barbados, I think, or what's the other one? Is it not Trinidad? It might be Trinidad, I don't know. But yeah, you see those like tropical islands where Florida, I think, might have it as well. But yeah, I know what you mean because I've seen those images. I've seen those images. They look so cool. They look so cool. They got those like yellow fish just swimming. They just yellow and blue fish and just swimming. Like, all right, yeah. I don't know where that is, but yeah, I want to go there. That song, Dark Clouds, White Space. I think we need a holiday, a week or two in Mexico. The two of us will leave the kids at home. Just exactly. Leave the kids at home. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. TV, yeah, biscuits, TV, and sandwiches. Just look, one sandwich a day, one biscuit a day. Just leave. You got to set some rules before you go. Of course, got to set some rules. One a day, or and maybe a piece of cake because you gotta sweeten the deal a little bit. So maybe give them a piece of cake. So like one biscuit a day, one sandwich a day, and then at the end of the week they can have a piece of cake. So those are the rules that you got to set, but leave them leave them with. Put the TV on, lock the doors because you don't want them running out of the house. Lock the just go. And if you come back and get arrested by the police, then just don't mention my name. That's the only thing. And that's the only that's very important. If you come back and the police are waiting for you, just don't mention my name. If they say why did you do this, just whatever reason you give the police, just I am not involved. Don't say you got an idea from me. Just what you can tell them anything you want. Just don't mention my name. But yeah, it'd be fine. It'd be fine. It's only a week. It'd be fine. Lock the doors. Exactly. Gotta lock the doors because if you don't lock the doors and they start running out, that could be a problem. Especially if other people see them running out of the house and they're like, "Where's your mum then? Where's your dad?" Things like that. Oh, you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want nobody to ask them. I ain't seen your mum for a bit. Where is she? Is she at home? Because kids would tell the truth. That's the problem. Kids would tell the truth. No, my mum went on holiday and left us. They'll tell the truth. And you don't want them telling the truth to people. So lock the doors. Lock the front door, lock the back door, lock the windows. Matter of fact, keep the curtains shut as well. Keep the curtains shut. People can't look in. People can't look in. Lock the doors, lock the windows, shut the curtains. Gotta take precautions. Gotta take precautions. Going along though, I can't even get an Elliot to get me all in reverse take off. Yeah, go along. In fact, you know what? That'd be definitely fine. Yeah, leave him with Elliot, innit? Leave him with what's the word? With the man. with their father, with their daddy. So yeah, it'd be fine. Off to the shops to get me some sweets, and he piss off on a bender. You wouldn't see him for two. Oof, and you turned out just fine. You know what though? Like real talk. Um, People I know who have had parents that I mean, I don't want to speak for your case, Freeze, because yours might be different. But people who I know who've had parents that were, like like the dad wasn't around a lot, like, or the mum wasn't around, things that, like when they've become parents, like they've been very kind of on this thing about being there for their child. You know what I mean? Like, and I think there's something to be said about people who've kind of been through that and now they're in a position to look after something like, you know what, I'm not putting my child through that, like, because they know what it's done to them and how they felt about it. So they're like, yeah, no, I just cannot do that. So yeah, sometimes deadbeat dads raise good kids, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. It was a full blown alcohol. That must have been tough though. Still, that must have been tough. Mm, especially just like disappearing. Their dad. Yeah, that's what their dad. Yeah, he with the dad. Look, he got you into this mess. Least he can do is look after him for a week. Saying, just saying. He planted the seed. Now you can take care of the garden. Wait, no, that made no sense. He plants the seed, so now you can take care of the tree. No. There's an analogy in there somewhere. I'm not sure I'm getting it. I'm not sure I'm getting it, making it make sense. But I think you know what I'm trying to say. What was my childhood like? It was okay. I mean, I think thinking back on it, it was fine. You know, like it was probably about the same as most people around me. You know, my parents worked. You know, so like there definitely were times where we were overloaded for sure because my mum would be at work, my dad would be at work, or my dad not well, my dad would be sleeping more specifically. So here's the thing: my dad worked nights, and he would go to work at like maybe at 6 p.m. or something like that, and he wouldn't come back till maybe 5 6 p.m. in the morning. So he'd work through the night. So yeah, he'd be asleep during the day, you know, just be asleep and just wake up and usually pretty grumpy or something. But yeah, my mum works during the day, so during like things like school holidays and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely times we're on our own, and it'd be that whole thing of what I said about one cake that was actually that was, that's a real thing. That's a real thing. So we had like um my mum would likely have like biscuits and cakes and stuff, or just like snacks and stuff like that, right? And it'd be like, yeah, one a day. I should just leave them out. I mean, it weren't like we are left alone for like hours and hours, and then there'd be people around, like my neighbors were there, could come check on us, and um, my next door neighbor on our right side, we called her Auntie Flo. Um, so yeah, she was around, and then we had another neighbor, Mrs. Barrett, on the other side, and they'll check on us, and so it weren't like we are just on our own. You know what I mean? It weren't like there were people, there were people, but yeah, we're not in the house. We're pretty much not by ourselves. But the thing is, so yeah, it was supposed to be like one biscuit a day or one cake a day or stuff like that. But because we knew where my mom kept like the biscuits and the cakes and stuff, best believe they got ransacked. Like we will climb up on the shelves. And we couldn't fit with kids, so we're little. So we had to climb up on the shelves and get the tins out. Yeah, so it's supposed to be one a day, but definitely had more than one a day. Them things have ran out. They did not last. Those cakes did not last. They did not last. But yeah, I mean, we had fun. I will say that I think when you're a kid, sometimes you get caught up in the whole thing about, oh, your friends got this and you don't have that and that kind of thing, which kind of sucks. But the truth is, we had a lot. I mean, we had video games, we had computers, we had a VCR, you know. Um, Granted, we didn't always get those things when a lot of other people had them, but we still had them, right? We had the TV in our room. Yeah, so we had some cool stuff. We had toys like Transformer toys, Star Wars toys. We had a lot of cool stuff. We had a lot of cool stuff. So I think thinking back on it, I think at the time things were always like, oh, we loved it, and you kind of get mad about that. But thinking back on it, it's like, you know what, we actually had a lot of cool stuff considering we weren't rich, and and that kind of thing. And so yeah, yeah, I ain't mad at it. Right, man. And I think it's also as you get older, you kind of realize that your parents are just doing the best they can, or at least I feel like in my case anyway, I can't speak for every parent. But in my case, I feel like they did the best they can. And yeah, what wasn't always what you wanted, and it wasn't always, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think they did what they did what they could, and they raised us as best as they could. And yeah, childhood was all right. My childhood was all right. I don't get to be um one of those guys that blame stuff on their parents. Unfortunately, like all my screw ups in life are pretty much my own fault. Some people screw things up in life, and they're like, "Well, I had a crappy childhood and it caused trauma." And they get to blame their parents for that. I don't get to do that. Unfortunately, I don't get to do that. I'm like, man, I screwed up. Damn it! If I had shitty parents, I could have blamed it on them. But no, no, they were right. They were right. They did what they could, and I think they did okay. Maybe when he hasn't got slips disc. Oh yeah, he hurt himself in the what you said, the first aid course, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, maybe get his back better, and then leave him alone with the kids. You know, alone was pretty fun at times when you were little. Like an adventure, missing. Oh, for sure, for sure. Used to be obsessed with VCRs and tapes and stuff off the TV and putting the little labels. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were pretty poor, but we had enough. Never went hungry. Yeah, that's a thing as well. Like when you're a kid, right? Like, look, I mean, when you're like really, really young, like I'm talking like 3, 4, 5 years old, that kind of age, right? You don't really think of yourself as poor, right? Because all you know is what you have in your house. Like you don't know about nothing else. Like, so you don't really think of yourself as poor. It's only when you get a bit older, like maybe I don't know, like 8, 9, 10, that kind of age. Certainly when you get into like the double digits kind of age, and then you're around other kids, and maybe they got the one kid who has all this stuff, and this kid has that, and you don't have it. When you start kind of comparing yourself a little bit more, that's when you start thinking yourself as, oh, we're poor. And especially when you're that age, you don't really want people to know you're poor. So you try to pretend that you've got money, or try to act like you got more money than you actually do, because you don't want people to know that you're poor. So like you trying to style it out as best you can. But what you don't realize, at least you don't realize then, is that a lot of other people are just pretending to have money as well. It's only but you don't know that till maybe you get into your 20s or your 30s or something, and it's like, oh no, yeah, it's just how it was back then. But yeah, you don't really think of yourself as being poor until you start comparing yourself to other people, and then when you get a bit older, you stop doing. Well, hopefully, stop doing it when you get older as well. Like you kind of go through that in cycles. You don't realize you're poor when you're really, really young. You get a bit older, you start to realize you're poor because you're comparing yourself. But then after all of that, when you leave school and leave all that kind of stuff, and you're not really in that kind of mindset no more, you're kind of looking at it like, yeah, we were poor, but so what? Yeah, we still had stuff. We had food, we had a house, we had a roof over our head, we had clothes on our back, we had cool stuff to play with. Yeah, so what if you didn't have all the latest gadgets and the latest this and the latest whatever? But when you kind of look back and you deep, it's like, you know what, we had everything, bro. I mean, we had everything, so weren't poor. I mean, we weren't rich, but we were. What am I trying to say? We were we were poor, but we weren't poor. I think sounds like what I'm trying to say. We were poor, but we weren't poor. Something like that. I'm trying to sound deep, but I'm not sure if it's working. I'm not sure it's working. Yeah, you only realize you're poor when you go to your friend's house. Right. The first time you go to your friend's house, and it's like they have stuff that you don't have, like spoons, knife and fork. Because like, what is this? They have carpet. They actually eat off of tables, and they don't just hold it in their hand and be like. They actually have tables that they sit at, and plates, like proper plates, like the fancy plates, not just the plastic plates, like those throwaway paper plates. They have actual hard plates. Like, what is this? Listen, I don't care what nobody says. Eating with your hands is the best way to eat. I don't care what nobody says. Eating with your hands is the best way to eat. I will die on that hill. I'm not saying you always have to eat with your hands. Of course, there's certain foods you just gotta have a knife and fork for and whatever. And if you're out and maybe out and in the restaurant and I get it. But anytime you have a chance to eat with your hands, eat with your hands. Like I'm telling you, it is the best way to eat. Like whether you're at home or just somewhere where it could be done, eating with your hands. I don't care what nobody says. That is the very best way to eat. It's the original and still the best way to eat food. Oh, look at you with your decent childhood and born parents. That's the thing, though. Like, I remember that being a thing when I was in school. Actually, like my parents were amongst very not very few. Let me not over exaggerate, but there were certainly the majority of people that I went to school with, yeah, that their parents weren't together. They were, they were single dad, single mom, or met somebody else and things like that. Like I thought, yeah, mine were of the few that were still together. It's kind of a rare. It was kind of a rare thing back then. Like, well, I ain't gonna lie, it's probably still a rare thing now, actually. But, yeah. Growing up poor has its advantages. Yo, what up, Xplex? What has advantages not being materialistic and not really warranting for anything like flash cars and flash. Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's a benefit when you get a bit older as well, especially when you stop, we get out of that mindset of trying to compare yourself or trying to pretend you got more money than you have. When you go through that phase, once you kind of get out of that, you start, you know, being an adult, right? You start living in the real world. You kind of like, you just don't care about a lot of stuff. Like you don't care about, yeah, the fancy designer clothes and whatever. And I ain't saying those are bad things, of course, that they're fine. People like them, people like them. I ain't saying that, but you kind of learn to just not care about certain things, and the things that you do care about, that's where you can spend your time on. That's where you can spend your money on, because you can save money by not buying a bunch of stuff you just don't care about, and use that money on things that you do care about and the people that you do care about. Because you don't, what you realize when you get older, at least hopefully people realize this, is that it's not really about having lots of money. It's just knowing how to handle the money that you have, right? Because there are people out there who have millions and are still poor because they can't handle their money that they have. Whereas there's people out there with thousands and do just fine because they're able to budget properly. They're able to handle that money. They're able to say things like, I don't need to spend, £100 on a pen, on a Parker pen or whatever. I could just get a Bic pen and write with that, you know. And because they can do that, they're able to then use the rest of the money on things that they actually do care about, So like, yeah, I just feel like that's the kind of thing that comes where you kind of grow up in that way. You kind of naturally learn to just do that. I think maybe not naturally, but certainly I think it comes with it. I've been amazed when I heard about some of my friends receiving pocket money. Disposable income wasn't right off. You know what it reminds you, bro. Listen here. We didn't get pocket money. We got dinner money, but we didn't get pocket money. So we got dinner money, which at the time was £5 a week dinner money. Yeah. So yeah, £1 a day because school 5 days a week, so £1 a day. And that was our dinner money. £1 a day, £5 a week. So when it came to things like um, games and stuff like that, because we didn't get pocket money, we had to save our dinner money. So I bought the Master System 2. Yeah. It was £60, 60. I saved my dinner money for weeks to get enough money to buy that. So I did not have school dinners for weeks. Now, bear in mind that it was dinner money, not pocket money. So when school breaks, we get nothing. When it's half term or Christmas break or whatever it is, nothing. Yeah, we get money during term time, nothing. So £60. Yeah, that's was it 6 weeks of school? Yeah, that's £30. Is that right? 6 weeks of school, £30. Then you have to. Then there's a break. Yeah, for a week where you get nothing, and then another 6 weeks of school for another £30. So in total, 13 weeks. Yeah. 13 weeks it would have taken me. And that's what? No, more than 2 months. It's about 3 months, I think. Yeah, it's about 3 months, three and a bit months. About three and a bit months of no school dinners. Yeah. No school dinners at all. So I could get a master system too. And I did that. I did that. And there's a lot of things that I've bought over the years. I don't remember the price of most things that I've bought because whatever, right? I remember exactly the price of the Master System 2. It was the first console that I bought with my own money, and I saved for about 3 months. No school dinners for about 3 months in order to get it. So, yeah, best believe I remember. I remember that exactly. And I remember getting my dad to take me to Dixon's so I can buy it. And we're talking old school, you start talking about Dixon's because Dixon's ain't even around no more. But I remember getting my dad to take me to Dixon's so I can go buy it. And he did. He took me to Dixon's. We drove to Dixon's, went to the shop, went to the picks it up, got to the counter, paid, went home, plugged it in. Oof. And it came with Alex Kidd in Alex Kidd in Miracle World was built in game for the Master System 2, which is one of the reasons why I wanted it, because I knew that once I bought that, it's going to be a long time before I can buy a game. So the fact that it came with a game built in was a big thing for me because I was like, I can get this, I can have the game, and then yeah, it's gonna be a while before I get anything else. So best believe I was playing Alex Kidd for the longest time. I was playing it again, playing it again, playing it again. Beat the game again, beat the game, beat it. I'd play that game so many times to the point where I had the game at that time. I had the game completely just memorized and mastered and all of that because it was literally the only game I had because of how long it would take me to save for stuff. So yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things I bought and a lot of things I don't remember buying and a lot of things I don't remember the price of and this, that, and the other. I remember exactly that because of what I had to do to get it. I eat with my hands and drink with my with a spoon. That's what's up. Xplix knows what's up. Eat with your hands and drink with a spoon. That's what's up. I over the moon with my first car. It was a 1 liter Corsa. It felt like a Ferrari to me. Oh, for real, for real. Yeah, 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 yeah. My first car was a Ford Focus. No, Ford Fiesta. Excuse me, Ford Fiesta. It was £1,100. I think I paid for it. Second hand, as the price might suggest, maybe even third hand. Actually, I don't know how many owners it had before me. Um, but yeah, it was definitely it was a 10-year-old car at the time that I bought it, but it only had about 80,000 miles on the clock. So it's a 10-year-old car, but only did about 80,000 miles, which is quite low when you consider it was 10 years old. Um, but yeah, I remember going to the guy lived in like Harrow or something like that. Went to his house. He took me on a test drive to show that the car works fine and everything else. And then, yeah, gave him the money, did all the paper stuff, and I drove it home. Drove it home that same day. And then the car broke down on me. I had it for, oh, I think about a year, I want to say. Maybe a little less than a year. But it wasn't long. I remember that much. It wasn't really, really long, but it was maybe a little bit less than a year. And it had problems during the time that I had it. I remember taking it to the shop lots of times to get certain various things fixed. And then eventually it just gave up. I think that guy sold it to me at the exact right time. He sold it to me at the exact right time because it was good for a while after I got it from him. It was good for at least a few months after I got it from him, but then problem after problem after problem after problem after problem after problem after problem. And eventually it just like, you know what? It's time to put this to rest. But yeah, cheap cars can end up costing you a lot. That's the moral of the story. Cheap cars could end up costing you a lot. I think you remember things like that though, like especially when you know you did what you did to get them. You had to had to save a lot of money for it. You remember stuff like your first car and stuff like that. Here's the thing, actually, you can let me know what you think of this. But this is something that I heard on. I don't remember where I heard it. I think I heard it on the somewhere on the internet. I'm sure, but the guy said everybody. I think it was a comedian actually, but anyway, this is what the guy said. He said everybody's first car is a piece of shit, right? Everybody's first car is a piece of shit. Now, if your first car isn't a piece of shit, then you're probably an asshole. And I'm not going to say that's true for every single case, in every single case. I do feel like that's probably true in most cases, though. You know what I mean? I feel that's probably true in most cases. Like if your first car was actually a really decent car, especially like one of the more expensive cars, you're probably an asshole. You know, you're probably not a nice person to be around. Like if your first car was like a Mercedes or something like that, or an Audi, you know what I mean? If that was your actual first car, and it wasn't like some broke down, you know, 500,000 mile Audi. I'm talking like you actually had a decent car that was still pretty new. That's still, you know what I mean? And that was your very first. Yeah, you're probably not a good person. You're probably you're probably not a nice person to be around. But I don't know. It's a theory that one cannot prove, but it does seem true to me, at least in my experience. Pound a day, you'd starve on that with today. Oh, bruh, tell me about it. Back then, £1 could get you burger and chips. £1 could get you burger, chips, and a drink. You can't get burger, chips, and a drink for £1 now. You could barely get burger, chips, and a drink for £10 these days. Like, come on, come on. Pounds get you burger, chips, and a drink. I mean, don't get. I mean, wrong. Weren't exactly good chips, burger, and a drink. You weren't getting like the fancy burger and chips for a drink for £1, but it was still burger, chips, and a drink for £1. It was decent enough. It was decent enough. You know what I mean? Maybe the burger might have been a little bit stale, but it was good enough. Maybe the bun might have been a little bit flat, but it was good enough. Maybe the chips might have been left out a little bit longer than they should have been, but it was good enough. Burger, chips, and a drink for £1, but you can't do that no more. You can't even get crappy burger, chips, and a drink for £1 nowadays. Thanks, man. Nah, so good. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I must really wanted that. Oh, for sure, man. I really did. Really did. Got a Super Nintendo one Christmas. So apparently I cried. Happiness. Oh man, that must be so cool. I probably would have cried too. I ain't gonna lie, I probably would have cried too. I remember that. The Master System had Sonic built in. Yeah, yeah. We did get Super Nintendo eventually. Like the Super Nintendo, I went halves on with my brother, so that was £150, and I saved 75, and he saved 75, and then now yeah, we went halves on that. After that, I think yeah, that's the only console we bought together. That's the only console we bought was the Super Nintendo. Was the only one we bought together. After that, either he bought a console or I bought a console. But yeah, that was the only one we actually bought where we saved and bought it together. Um, but yeah, man, them times, them times. But yeah, it's even things like that. Like I say, we had game consoles. Like we had the Master System, we had the Super Nintendo, we had Game Boy. I think like two Game Boys because I had one, my brother had one. Two Game Gears because I had one, my brother had one. Not at the same time, by the way, but we did have one each at a couple different points. Um, we had oof, PlayStation. We had Nintendo 64, and then I mean after that, I think it starts getting into the adult years of. I feel like the PlayStation and the N64 probably the last consoles of the childhood years, But after that, it's like going into adult years and stuff that we bought then. But yeah, I mean, we had stuff. You know what I mean? We had stuff. So yeah, you look back then, you think we're poor because you compare yourself, but you look at it, and you know what? We still had a lot of cool stuff. It was the PlayStation days. After that, the SNES days. Yeah, the PlayStation I remember buying because I was very on the fence. Not even on the fence. I was on the other side of the fence about PlayStation because I remember hearing about the PlayStation, about how Sony were going to do a PlayStation, or rather, Sony was going to make a games console. I can remember being in school and in class and talking about these rumors of Sony making a games console. And I can remember some of the things that people would say about how what does Sony know about games and stuff like that. And that's going to be dumb, and it's going to be stupid. So, and that was kind of my opinion at the time. Like Sony at the time were, well, they still are an electronics company, and they made TVs and VCRs and stuff like that, Walkmans, and Walkman, of course, was the big thing they were known for. So I remember being like, nah, that's gonna be stupid. So you make a games console. For the longest time, I was like, nah, I'm not buying it. I don't think it's a good idea. But I think this PlayStation came out. I think I want to say 95 or 96, give or take. I could look it up. I know I could look it up, but somewhere around then it came out. And it became very, very popular. A lot of people bought it. A lot of people loved it. And then eventually, I think about 3 years after it came out, where I was like, you know what, I should get a PlayStation as well. I should get a PlayStation as well. And by then, it was quite cheap as well. Like I remember getting it as a deal. It was a PlayStation, and it came with Resident Evil. Oh, and another game. I forget which other game it came, but I remember it came with two games. It came with two games. One of them was Resident Evil 2. I forget what the other game was called, but Resident Evil 2 was banging. And the good thing about waiting so long to get it is that not only was the console cheap, but a lot of the games that I was interested in were pretty cheap at the time as well. Because they've been out for a while, they've been discounted. So yeah. And at the time, and I had a job at that time as well. So I had a bit more money. I had a bit more money. So yeah, the console was cheap. A lot of the games I interested in were quite cheap. I had a bit more money, bro. I was buying games like they were nothing. I was going on. Oh, and the internet was in its infancy, so there was still quite a new thing where buying stuff online was still kind of cool novelty. And I'll go into the game, the high street shop game. They had a website where you could buy from as well. But they still have it, by the way. But I remember going there, and literally about every week, every 1, 2, 3 weeks or so, I'll be on that site, be like, yeah, I'll get that. I'll get that. And it would just come, and it was so convenient. You but pick up the game you want, and it would arrive like a couple of days later or something. But I did that for a while. I did that for a while, man, because the games were cheaper. I was making money. I had no responsibilities, you know. Boy, them days, man, them days, you just don't realize how good you had it. You know what I mean? You just don't know. You don't realize at the time how good you had it, where you could literally just buy a game every week or two and not have to worry about, you know, damn, I'm not gonna be able to pay my bills this. You just don't realize how good you had it back then. But that was a time, man. I'm telling you, that was a time. That was a time I was working, so I had a bit of money, had a bit of extra money, working part time. So, had money and you had time, bro. That was listen, that's when I peaked. That's when I peaked. I'm telling you, man, that's when I peaked. Had a bit of money, still had some time, no responsibilities. Oh, peak. Peak. Ain't like that no more. Remember the first time on PS2. I remember we had a PS2. PS2, I think we got it would have been 2000. When did it come out? 2000. No, no, I think PS2 came out in 99. It was late 90s, I think it actually came out. But we didn't get one, I think, until around 2002, I want to say, 2002, 2001. Um, I remember it was my little brother that had it. He bought it. Well, my oldest little brother bought it. And I don't remember my first time specifically. I remember playing some games on it, but I don't remember which game I played first. Um, but yeah, we had a PS2. And eventually, I bought a PS2 myself. Because I don't want to. I don't want to keep going to his room to play the PS2. So eventually, I bought a PS2 myself. So there's two PS2s in the house at one time. First, I thought, that might be the only console where we had two of. No, 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 it wasn't. It wasn't. GameCube as well. GameCube. There was a period of time we had two GameCubes in the house as well. Um, but yeah, PS2. There was two of those in the house because my little brother had one. I had one. Um, that was a good console. That was a good console. Plenty of great games on it. So I mean, oh yeah, was that that little that was that it was like that that kind of chime, wasn't it? Ding, 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 ding. PlayStation was supposed to be the SNES CD. Yes, that's right. Yeah, Nintendo pulled out. That's only when big mistake from Nintendo. Good old days, man. Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, we didn't know that at the time, but yeah, that is true. That is true. So, as the story goes, that I've since a bit since heard is that Nintendo originally had a deal with Sony to make the SNES CD, and apparently it was made, it was ready to almost ready to go, and all that kind of stuff. But then, yeah, Nintendo apparently pulled out the last minute because I think they weren't. So, I think in the end they weren't convinced the CD was going to be in a format to go, or something along those lines. Anyway, Sony were like, "Well, we got this machine. What do we do with it? We spent all this time making it, working on it. We'll just change the name, call it something else, and then sell it." And it became one of the biggest. Yeah, probably the biggest console sell of all time between the PlayStation 2. In fact, the PlayStation brand in general been massive sellers. So yeah, like it just became one of the most successfully widely sold consoles. And would they have still sold that many if it was called the SNES CD though? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But Sony definitely made the right choice by putting it out after all that. But yeah, could have been a very different version of events had Nintendo been like, yes, let's do this versus now we good. But hey, I think Nintendo have always kind of been their own thing anyway. Like they've never fully really, well, not never, never, but I think for the most part, they've never really kind of fully competed in the gaming space in that same way that, say, Sega did, or certainly Microsoft and Sony, the way they compete. Like Nintendo for a while. I mean, actually, that's not maybe not exactly true. That's not exactly true. Maybe during the Sega Nintendo days, they were competing a bit, but then that was, I guess a bit more lower stakes. But certainly during the Microsoft, Xbox, PlayStation, when they started becoming more popular, yeah, they just haven't really tried to compete in that area, and they've just kind of stuck doing what they do. And that you say they made a mistake with the SNES, which is kind of true, but the one mistake they didn't, the one thing they got right, I'd say, is not competing with Sony and Microsoft because they're pretty much the only gaming company, I should say, that isn't, suffering. You know what I mean? Like Microsoft and Sony are just suffering right now. Like they're struggling to have the sales they need to stay profitable. And the result is that they're just firing loads of staff members. Microsoft, especially, they've been firing so many people. They've been firing thousands of people, like literally, like over 3,000 people have been fired from Microsoft because they're just not making the money they need to make. They're not broke, right? But they're not making the money they need to make, and the result is that staff are being cut. Nintendo haven't had to deal with that. They've been profitable by making games that appeal to their fan base that doesn't cost bazillion pounds to bazillion dollars, whatever, to make. So the games could be made within budget, and the money they make makes the games profitable. They're also only games company that sells their consoles at a profit as well. Like Microsoft and Sony for a long time been selling their consoles at a loss, hoping to make their money back in game sales. So yeah, it might have been a mistake to not go with the Sony sake the Super CD, but yeah, as much as Nintendo don't appeal to me that much right now, as the games that I like to play, I can't be mad at their decisions because they're not suffering. They've clearly made decisions that have benefited them as a company, and yeah, they're not firing all their staff members, so that's a good thing. And Nintendo Switch seems pretty popular these. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Just repaired an OLED one the other day. Nintendo have done well to keep relevant now for sure. I do still have my Nintendo Switch. It doesn't get much playtime these days, but I do still have my Nintendo Switch. I don't think I'd ever sell it actually. Um, I kind of like the idea of having a Nintendo console, even though even though it doesn't get played. I like the idea of it because it's pretty much right now the only link to my gaming past because with the Switch, I can go on their Nintendo Online service and play like the old SNES games or the old NES games or the old Nintendo 64 games. You know, they got a lot of those available through their online service. And I like the idea of anytime I want to, I can just go on that. I mean, I'll have to pay a subscription fee because I haven't kept it running, but I can just pay that subscription fee. It's like £35, and then I just play a bunch of old games from the 80s and 90s. You know, I like that it's my link to that era of gaming, and it's the only, not the only, no, it's not the only link I have to that era of gaming. You could get old games on your PC on Steam, but playing games with PC and playing games on console are two different experiences. And 90s gaming for me was very much consoles. You know, the Master System, the Super NES. So it was all out console gaming. So like, it's kind of a very so yeah, it's very much a nostalgia thing. Also, just the games that you get on Nintendo, you don't really get them anywhere else unless you go into the emulator side of things, which I'd rather not do. I mean, I'm not against emulators. But I'd rather have something that is more official. So yeah, there's a few reasons why I keep the Switch, even though I don't play it so much. I haven't played it for months, maybe yeah, probably coming up to a year from the last time I played it. It's been a while. It's been a long time, but yeah, I don't think I could bring myself to actually selling it. Not now anyway. Not now. So my SNES and the CRT TV. Oof. And if they on it. No, for real. You know what? If you got those old consoles, the CRT is actually the best way to play them. Because if you play, I mean, you'll know this, I'm sure, but like if you play them on LCD monitors or plasma monitors, they just don't look as good. Yo, what up, Pinkston? How you doing, JG123? Good day, big up. Appreciate you coming through. How's you and the fam? But yeah, because they were made for CRT monitors. When you play them on LCD monitors, yeah, they just don't look as good. They really don't look as good. You can get like things to I can't remember what they're called now, but you probably know this better than I do. But you can get things that do something to make it look better on the LCD or something like that. Like they make it look like more like the CRT style, but it's still flat at the end of the day. And the CRT monitors were curved. And granted, the CRT monitors had a lot of problems. They weren't great TVs for the most part. But as far as those old school 80s and 90s games goes, especially if you still have the consoles, then yeah, go. CRT is definitely the best way to play them because they just look so much because they're made for that. They're made for that. So yeah, they're just so much better. That's so much better. If you can get like, I think if you're using like emulators or things like that where they've maybe upscaled it and re-resed it and stuff like that, then yeah, they're probably fine for the LCD screens. But on the console, CRT, fixed plasma TV the other day, and dug the SNES out to play on it. Picture was decent on its. Okay, okay. Yeah, they look awful on LCDs. But yeah, I've never had plasma TV to be fair, but yeah, I know for LCDs where you plug them into and it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like LCD TVs. They have many benefits over CRTs. For one thing, they're a lot thinner, so they take a lot less space. So there's a lot of benefits to LCD TVs. I ain't saying that, but as far as old school games consoles, boy, and not only the LCD, sorry, a CRT, but if you can get like a 12-inch CRT, like the small ones, that 12-inch ones, a 12-inch CRT and you could play if you could play like a NES or SNES on one of those, golden, golden. Like the big ones are cool. Don't get me wrong, but if you could find a 12-inch CRT, hook up to a Super NES, hook up to a NES or Master System or something like that, and just sit right in front of it. You know when you sit close to the TV and your mom would say, "Oh, don't sit that close to the TV because you get square eyes." That's how close you need to be sitting to the TV with the old school a gamepad with the sharp edges. You can get that golden, golden. Yeah, mine's a little nice. One of those ones with the built. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I remember those. Those were fancy ones. Those were fancy ones. They had a built it sounds oh, that was living large. Oof. You know what? I think I got bit in my sleep by some kind of bug or something, but eesh, put some cream in that or something. You know what? It's late. And I should have ended this stream over an hour ago, quite frankly, but got a little bit carried away. But yeah, it's late and I need to be going to bed and be up in the morning. Dude, it was good taking a trip down memory lane. I ain't gonna lie. It was good. Talking about old school gaming and stuff like that. It was a good convo. Appreciate you indulging me in that. But it is time for me to sign off. I think I might have bored a few people. There's a bunch of people. I'm pretty sure a lot of people just aren't in the chat anymore. I got into talking about old school games. People just left the chat. I think it's just you in the chat right now, Reese. Appreciate you sticking through and indulging me in my old school gaming chat. Um, everybody else, though, appreciate you coming through nonetheless. Whether you stayed for a little bit or stayed for a lot of bits, I appreciate you coming through. Appreciate the likes as well. Thank you for all of that. Yeah, tired as well, man. Thanks for the channel. Always a pleasure. I appreciate you, bro. But yeah, should we live stream again next week, 8 p.m. ish. The ish is important because it probably won't be 8 p.m. It might be a little bit later. But yeah, should we live stream again next week? Try and drop some videos in the meantime as well. Next week, I'll try and keep it to a more reasonable hour rather than going on, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get into another long chat about old school gaming again. Oh, we'll have to tune in next week to find out. But yeah, guys, appreciate you being awesome as always. And until whenever, if ever.